Hello, everyone, and welcome to another one of our preview shows. And this time it's the Amstel Gold Race, the race that was first created in 1966. And here to discuss all things, this race this year in 2025 is Patrick Blake of Outdo Cycling. And I mean, Patrick, this race, there was a bit of problems with this race as well because there was a NATO summit or something like that going on. So they didn't know if they were going to have enough motorbike people available and things like this. And it seems like I have this very well informed by one of my Dutch friends that they've also reverted into more of not the old Kouwberg finish, but a different, the less new one, which is going to be a bit more interesting. So I'm sure we're going to talk about that you'll talk about that in the route preview. But this race, what wins I can already hear you saying Mikhail Kwiatkowski being such a fanboy. So I'll mix it up a bit. I like the Philippe Gilbert wins. He's been so dominant in this race. Obviously, Mikael Veltijn winning it as well. I have to get that in there as well, a Dane. But Amstel Gold. What's been your favorite editions?
I mean, obviously, it's hard to look past the 2019 Mathieu van der Poel absolutely crazy edition. I mean, that's something which was just incredible to witness in the moment. I just couldn't actually believe it was happening. Like I say, Kwiatkowski's. It feels weird how like a Wout van Aert Pidcock kind of thing, which people still don't really know who won that race on that day. And obviously Pidcock won it last year, so it's been some decent sets of winners. And that Kwiatkowski versus Kuznetsov bike throw on the line. Gosh, like this race really does provide a little bit of drama. You don't usually have too many solo victories in Amstel Gold Race. It usually comes down to a little bit of a sprint amongst either a small group or a head-to-head. So you usually get drama all the way up to the finish line, which is what makes it such a great race.
I should have mentioned the Mathieu van der Poel first. That is the best edition, probably one of the best bike races, certainly one of the best ever comebacks in cycling history, I think. But what does the route look like in 2025? We kind of foreshadowed a bit what the changes look like.
Yeah, so the Amstel Gold Race this year is 255.9 kilometers long. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Stardy. Anyway, obviously this race, there are so many bergs going on. I'm not going to read through all of them. Don't worry, we would be here forever. It'll be like a Shakespearean play. I'm just going to focus on the last part. We obviously go kind of the last 50 kilometers is like the Lohrberg, the Gulpenberg, the Kreisberg, the Eisenbausberg, the Fromberg, the Keutenberg, which is where Tadej Pogacar dropped Tom Pidcock 2 years ago. And it's also where Tige Benoot last year created a race-winning split with Van Zevenant, Hershey, and Pidcock. Maybe Paula Palo was there as well. Anyway, then we go on to the Kouwberg, the Valkenberg, the Gul Hemmelenberg, the Bemelenberg, and then also, like you say, Scott, the Kouwberg. Only 600 meters at 6.7%, but it happens, it crests with 2 kilometers to go probably towards the finish. So real launch pad, which we haven't seen for the last couple of editions. So it's really cool to see that, this has been put in towards the end to provide that attacking opportunity for people to put the hammer down towards the end if they're not too confident in their sprint. So I'm really happy to see that kind of back in towards the finish line. I think it's going to be a really interesting race, really attritional, loads of climbing throughout the day, even though there's, really just dispersed amongst just really short and sharp climbs. There's actually a lot of climbing going on in the day. So it's going to be a brutal day. It's going to be attritional, and it's going to be a worthy victor at the end of it.
Yeah, who is that going to be? The rainbow elephant in the room. Tadej Pogacar is returning for the first time since 2023. His only victory of this race as well. Only his second appearance that time as well. What can we not say about him? His results kind of speak for themselves. Paris-Roubaix debutant and finishing second. That was a really good race. We covered it in the recap, the Tour of Flanders as well, winning that, Strabianchi dominating that, and that's just the one-day races. There's also the UAE Tour, but Patrick, I can't see past Tadej Pogacar with this form. It is different terrain. Maybe he's more like cobblestones. I can't think about going uphill with no cobblestones.
Yeah, maybe he's just so used to the cobblestones now that tarmac is just really weird. It's possible. It's a joke, by the way. Pogacar is, like you say, it's super hard to look past him. He's backed up at the moment. Also, thank you, Amstel Gold Race, for having such a detailed provisional start list already. Like, thank you. Other races, take note, please. Pogacar arrives with Jan Christen, who is racing for the first time since he crashed in the Phone Ardèche Classic, I want to say. Felix Gorshark, Brandon McNulty, Narvaez, Novak, and Sivakov. It's a super strong squad. I don't really see any chinks in the armour here. I think that Pogacar's just on absolutely sublime form at the moment. And I think you're right, do you just end the preview here? Is that it? Is it?
I mean, there is so much of Evenepoel, so his arch rival is
exactly
here.
Like who? Yeah, it's like I look around and I see other really good riders, but at the end of the day, when Poggy decides to go and he's gonna, it's gonna be an attritional race, and then in that last hour when he just decides to really just go full gas, it's gonna be unbelievably difficult to follow him. I mean, Pidcock, admirably tried to do it in Strade Bianche, but ended up getting burnt. Maybe you see Pidcock trying to do it, but realistically, I'm not sure who else in this field really can follow Pogacar. At the end of the day, he's the big favourite for this race. And barring absolute calamity, he's probably going to win it.
Is he the greatest ever rider we've seen? Because a lot of murmurs have been talking about that he has actually rivaled Eddie Merckx to some extent, because of age, harder era, specialization. There was more racing being done. He's doing like 50, 60 days of racing a year, and equaling or sometimes besting Eddie Merckx's yearly total.
I think, given that I wasn't around in the Merckx era, Pogacar is the best rider I've ever seen. I think I can pretty safely say that in terms of his completeness and his ability to do well over multiple terrain. Pogacar is quite easily the best rider I have ever seen. I'm trying to think of other riders who have come, close. I guess, Van der Poel's very impressive. And, some of the great Grand Tour riders, which we've seen, like Froome and Contador, but these guys just weren't as good as Pogacar over multiple terrains. So, yeah, I guess Pogacar sort of is the best rider which we've ever seen. I think people will, fight for Eddie Merckx' corner to their death to say that he is still the best. And I'm not saying that Merckx is terrible or washed or whatever. Just he was super good and he is an absolute icon of the sport. But I think that we are witnessing a modern day equivalent.
Yeah, in the modern era, Contador never really, I can't think of seeing him at any one day race really. Maybe Lombardia or the World Championships. Nibali is probably the one who is the closest in a Pogacar sense. Milan-San Remo winner, did go to Tour of Flanders, didn't win it obviously. Was in Strada, I think, as well. So, and he won all 3 Grand Tours. So, but still, Tadej Pogacar is kind of upped it to level 10,000 in a way, being so dominant. I mean, that Paris-Roubaix performance following Mathieu Van der Poel in your first ever edition is just mind-blowing. The bike handling you need, the engine you need, all these extra things. You're riding toe-to-toe with a cyclocross multiple world champion, the greatest ever cyclocross rider. So I think it's just crazy. It's ridiculous to see. And we just have to appreciate it for how long it lasts in a way. Anyway, Amstel Gold, that's what we're talking about. So who's going to be beating this greatest ever rider that we were talking about? You mentioned Tom Pidcock. Actually has a funny record in this race. I don't know if you've noticed this. You mentioned it earlier. He's finished on every single step of the podium in Amstel Gold. Because last year, obviously, he was winning. He's been third as well. That 2021. Oh, did he win it? Did he come second? He came second in the history books. Obviously, you being from Yorkshire, you're going to be biased on that front. Yeah, Q36.5. Good season so far. Is he going to continue this? He was quite good at Tirreno Adriatico, finishing 6th there. But how do you see his chances?
I think his chances are pretty good. Like I say, he's had a very good year, very consistent, and I think he's got a whole team around him, obviously fully dedicated to him. There's no sort of wacky co-leadership going on, and I quite like to see that. Whenever I see co-leadership, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Who's it going to be? Somebody's going to end up disappointed. It's like, it's all in. It's all in on one man. And he does have a number 1 on his back, obviously, as the defending champion. So I think Pidcock's got a great shot, honestly, winning, I don't really know, but he has had a good year. And like you say, Tirreno was good. That second in Strade Bianche has been consistent in the stage races he's done. San Remo, he got caught behind a crash or in a crash. I can't remember exactly which one it was. At the base of a Cipressa, which sort of put him out of a race. Who knows what he might have been able to do otherwise. So maybe can't read too much into that 40th place at San Remo. And yeah, Pidcock just does well in this race. Like you say, the fact that he's finished first, second and third in this race is clearly a race which suits him. Those short, sharp efforts on steep bergs is just very suited to Pidcock, because it's essentially what like Yorkshire's made of, pretty much. It's just lots of these little bergs. That is just absolutely quintessential Yorkshire riding. It's what Pidcock's grown up on, and it's what he's good at. So I think he's got a good shot of contesting for the podium.
Bring back the Tour de Yorkshire. Who said that? But Pidcock, interesting to say the least. If we look at the podium last year, we had Pidcock winning, Mark Hirschi second, and third for Thibau Nys. The two riders at the top have changed to Pro Continental teams, which is quite funny. But Visma Lease Bike, let's talk about them. They have a former champion as well, Wout van Aert, Thibau Nys, third place last year. Wout, good in Tour of Flanders, good in Paris-Roubaix. It's a different finish to when he won it, so I don't know if that's going to play against him. He is like an incredibly versatile rider, but I wouldn't call him a puncher. I wouldn't call him that kind of rider who can hang with, let's say Pidcock does an attack up the Kalberg or Tadej Pogacar. I don't see Wout being able to hold the wheel for that long.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Paris-Roubaix, we were saying this suits Wout more, and he still did good. I mean, he finished in 4th place, and that's not saying that's bad. That's still a really good result.
Didn't he crash as well?
He crashed earlier on in Roubaix, yeah. But you could also say the rest of his race was very free of incident. Like, he didn't have any punctures or anything as far as I'm aware. So
any bottles thrown at him?
Yeah, I didn't know. No, he didn't have a Visma Lease Bike bottle thrown at him. That would have been really ironic, wouldn't it? The point being, Wout, even on the terrain which suited him better in theory in Roubaix, finished 4th. And, that's behind Pogacar, who in theory wasn't massively suited to Roubaix. So therefore, I just don't see how over multiple kind of short, sharp efforts where Wout seemed to struggle in Flanders on those absolute, all-out, basically sprint efforts up the bergs of Flanders. I just don't see how that's going to be necessarily any better in Amstel. I put him as a podium candidate. Obviously, it kind of depends what kind of a race scenario is, and I think it's going to require him to be in like a very small group, essentially, of climbers who absolutely can't sprint at all. But I think Wout is still a podium candidate. He seems to be getting better. He's obviously doing Brabant-Sipel on Wednesday, and just saying, we are recording this before Brabant-Sipel, so we don't know what the result of that race is. If Wout van Aert crashes in there, forget everything that we've just said over the last few minutes. I think that Wout can't be underestimated. He seems to be getting better, and I think that a podium is within grasp.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of other riders as well that will also be competing for that podium. Remco Evenepoel, how do you feel about him? Coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Return, robbed us of a glorious first part of the season from Remco, unfortunately.
It did. I was actually just looking at him as we were on Visma Lease Bike. Remco is the absolute enigma going into this. We don't know what he's doing. He is training. It's worthwhile noting, like, he is on his bike and he is training. He's not coming into this with nothing. But I don't have loads of confidence in somebody who's a debutant in the race, who coming back from that injury which he had earlier in the winter.
Liège-Bastogne-Liège winner though, and very strong when he came back from the Il-Lombardia crash in the first week of the Giro. So I don't think he would be here if he didn't think he could be competitive.
Yeah, I think you're right, but is that also just because he's trying to line up for Liège and he's just kind of needs those racing kilometers? Maybe it's just like a bit of a tester. Again, it's sort of a right Remco Evenepoel off at your will. Off not your will, kind of at your, error, essentially. Like, at your peril. Yes, that's the correct word.
Boom! Danish correcting Yorkshireman. Wow, I saw it here first.
Yorkshire isn't English. The point being, I think that if anybody were to be able to follow Pogacar, it would be Evenepoel. But that's Evenepoel on good form. So That's where I'm a little bit teetering on the edge, where I think if Evenepoel was, already racing and showed good signs, I would say that he could follow Pogacar. But yeah, just based upon the fact that he's coming back from injury, it makes me quite uncertain. But I think that he's going to be a big unknown going into this, and therefore it's just very hard to predict what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is that unknown factor. If literally, if he started 1 week, or if he had like the Tour of the Basque Country done as well, and maybe didn't do anything there, but at least there would have been racing in the legs, and it's certainly going to be interesting. Did Koenig Quickstep definitely need him back as well to kind of hoover up some points for them in the World Tour rankings, and he's just such a monster when he's on form. But yeah, I don't know. I think your theory of this, the Bruntes-Pearl and Amstel Gold being the two things before Liège-Bastogne-Liège could be on the right track, I think. But we all were robbed of that Tadej Pogacar Remco Evenepoel battle in 2023 in Liège. Obviously, we might get that this time around, but let's have it in Amstel instead.
Yeah, exactly. You probably will have it in Amstel. Like, if Evenepoel is one thing, he's just a fighter, isn't he? He will probably just try to hang on until he absolutely pops, pretty much, with Pogacar. And like you say, we've got Brabant-Sipel before his Amstel Gold race, so maybe you can gauge a little bit more on it after that. But I think it is all in build-up to Liège. I mean, he's got Brabant-Sipel, Amstel Gold Race, La Flèche-Wallonne, and then Liège-Bastogne-Liège. So it's clearly like building up towards that. It's also worthwhile noting that 2 days after Liège, he's actually going and doing the Tour de Romandie. Maybe even all a part of a bigger plan of, obviously trying to get ready for the Tour, essentially, and doing these intense one-day races backed up immediately by a stage race. Maybe this is all just trying to almost just like kind of brutally kickstart Remco Evenepoel's season and trying to make up for that lost time from earlier on. Do you reckon that's a possibility, where it's like, okay, you've missed all these racings early on, so therefore we're going to really cram it into like a 1 month period and almost just force your body to get ready for the Tour?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Almost, I think you should just go to the Giro and win that.
Could be.
Yeah, but that's a different story. Where do you think the cracks are gonna appear? Is it gonna be when we get over the 200-kilometer distance, not having raced that length? They talk about the 200, 250. That's where you start to really feel it at this high pace. And like you said, it's gonna be attritional. You're coming here to destroy everyone.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's that attrition which is going to be hard for Evenepoel. If it was just kind of cruising and then just like an hour of hard racing at the end, maybe it would be okay. I think you're going to set a pace from quite early on, and it's just going to be like wearing down. And I think, that kind of last hour, like the Kreisberg or something like that, I could see him starting to struggle, like when Pogacar attacks, basically, which is inevitable. As inevitable as the sun will rise tomorrow, Pogacar will attack. And I could see Evenepoel trying to follow him and then kind of popping, or Evenepoel by then is just going to be already on his knees a little bit, out of position, and he's just going to be kind of slumping in for minor positions. In my eyes, I don't think already. I mean, again, depends on Brabant-Sipel and how he looks there, but I'm not sure right now about Evenepoel already being on flying form for Amstel Gold Race. But I'm more than happy to be proven wrong, because maybe he's been doing loads of training and he's absolutely flying. Who knows?
I mean, normally we have the favorites category here, and then we have the outsiders. I feel like here we've had the favorite, the second tier favorites, and then we'll do outsiders. But just to conclude, the second tier favorites, Lidl Trek, Thibau Nys, and Mathias Skjelmose Jensen. Mathias Skjelmose Jensen, former top 10 finisher here, and second place in La Flèche-Wallonne as well in the past, behind Tadej Pogacar. And Thibau Nys, this guy has so much hype around him. I mean, I went to the Lidl Trek press day in Spain, and there was more attention around Thibau Nys than any other rider. So this 22-year-old, I think there's a lot of excitement and hype about his season, and he was targeting, he says he's targeting La Flèche and these kind of races, and he is a phenomenal cyclocross rider. So is he the card, or is it Skjelmose, or are they just going to decide on the road, basically?
I think they will going with a co-leadership, but realistically, if I was to be a betting man, I would put my money on Thibau Nys, just because that Gran Premio Miguel Indurain performance, where he just stepped off everybody on that steep berg, was ridiculous. He made everybody else look like they were juniors. He was on a completely different level in that race. He didn't really back that up with a performance in the Basque Country, so maybe that's a little bit like, why is that the case? But this guy is a one-day racer through and through. I'm not that worried about the distance, because you look back to, say, the Britannia Classic last year, that was 259.8 kilometers, and he finished 5th place there. So he's clearly able to do well over a race like that, which is quite reminiscent of Amstel in a lot of ways. It's those short, sharp attacks, essentially, which he's very suited to as a cyclocross rider. That's in his DNA. It's just like 1 minute efforts, and that's what this race is. It's like 1 to 2 minute efforts, just all the time, repeated. So I think that Thibau Nys has got a really great shot, and I know I said earlier that nobody could really follow Pogacar. I would dare say that if anybody might be able to do it, Evenepoel possibly, if he was on really good form, but Thibau Nys possibly could do it.
Yeah, potentially. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know if this is the first time that Nys faces Pogacar. Nevertheless, outsiders, there's a plethora of these guys, riders who finished on the podium, finished in the top 10 here. No Mathieu van der Poel, unfortunately, that's why we haven't mentioned him. Maxime van Heels, Michael Matthews, Alexander Kamp, with Danish eyes, Ben Healy, a former podium finisher here, Bilbao, Patrick, there's so many riders. Mark Hirschi, we mentioned him, we haven't talked about him, but I think there's so many riders in this second tier filling out the top 10 and could all basically end up on the podium more than top 5.
Yeah, there's absolutely ridiculous amount of people. Like you say, Hirschi, Champassin as well has had a very good year overall. Yeah, Matthews will be very good for like a sprint for 4th place or something. I swear he's done that before.
Van Hills before as well. And I think that was this kind of finish.
Yeah, Matthews is really consistent in this race, but I'm just not sure about how he would... to finish on a podium, he's going to need less like Pogacar to go in, essentially just a second group just to stay together, and then he can beat them all in a sprint. I think that's his scenario that he wants. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, like say Van Hills, he's been okay this year, but was a little bit off the boil in Basque Country and Gran Premio Miguel Indurain. Roger Adlia I think he was in the top 10 of this race last year, so certainly watch out for him. Laurence for the Ineos Grenadiers, Gregoire for Groupama FDJ, alongside Madouas, who's been in the top 10 of this race as well. Cournevoie actually comes back. We haven't seen him in ages. I don't actually think he's raced in 2025 yet. He's not doing like Brabant Supel or anything beforehand, which he's usually very good at. Cournevoie just coming out of nowhere. We have absolutely no idea what he's going to be like. Healy, I think, has got a great chance. He was super good in Itzulia, wasn't he? Like in the breakaways, he was just on a different level. So I think Healy is on some fantastic form at the moment. Dylan Tern's been in the top 10 here. So is Bilbao, Boyd Fargo, Fred Wright, Mohoric. Dare I even say somebody like Caden Groves? Could Caden Groves do? Yeah, but could Caden Groves do what Michael Matthews could do?
No.
He was like...
Maybe.
Caden Groves was 5th in Milano San Remo. He is good. He is a good climber. Like,
I never said he wasn't good.
Well, why are you shaking your head like he can't keep up with Michael Matthews? I feel like Groves can keep up with Michael Matthews and roll him at the end. I think it's possible. Basically, I'm pointing it out there. Israel Premier Tech, Joseph Blackmore, Corbin Strong as well. Lutsenko was top 10 a couple of years ago. I think that, I could keep going, but I'll put a lid on it there.
Yeah, that is the thing. There's so many riders that kind of could fit in if it goes their way, if they're in the right move. But anyway, we might as well come to our favorite part of the show, the predictions. I cannot remember what we predicted last year, but Patrick, Tadej Pogacar on your podium.
Yeah, he probably is. He might be. Oh, you don't know. I will say in 3rd place, I'm going to go with Ben Healy because he's been looking really good. I'll say 2nd place, Thibau Nys and Pogacar to win.
How does he win it? I think that's a very good question as well.
Probably with like at least a 30 to 40 kilometer solo attack, pretty much. Like he did 2 years ago, basically.
Like Halberg.
Yeah, No way. There's no way he's gonna wait that late. He just can't help himself, Scott. He just loves to attack. He'll go like with an hour to go at least. What about you?
Yeah, probably will. There we go. End of, like you said, end of preview. Okay, I'll go for the wacky one then. Since you've gone more sensible, I think we will have in third place Tadej Pogacar. Second place, Wout van Aert, and Tom Pidcock wins his second ever Amstel Gold. He has a bike mechanical or something. Something goes wrong.
Yeah. It's not out of the ordinary. Like, groups have made it off the front and stayed away. I mean, Van der Poel was the big favourite last year, and he missed the winning move with Pidcock and stuff. There's lots of opportunity to form a group before Pogacar attacks, and maybe you can an ill-timed mechanical or whatever. You never know.
I mean, I hope Alexander Kamp does well. Obviously riding for Intermarché, being top 4, I think, in the past in this race, or top 5. So on that theme, who's going to be the best finishing Danish rider? Oh, what a bonus question.
Oh my word, hang on, let me just...
Andreas Korn is not in here, so I would have got... maybe he's injured or something, because he finished 4th for Uno X Mobility. Oh no, for Lotto, but now he rides for Uno X, but he's not here, there's just Norwegians.
Okay, let's do a bit of a roll call of Danish riders. We've got...
favorite section. This is going to be a new section now.
Anton Charmik, Anders Voldager...
Very good rider.
Skammes Jensen, Alexander Kamp.
Very good rider.
Are you just going to say that about every single Danish rider? Andreas Stockbro? That's it. Rider. That's like
more of a hardy sprinter, so I don't see him being in.
So realistically, I would say realistically, this is between Skammes Jensen and Voldager, maybe, and Kamp. That's your 3.
So who?
I'm gonna take Voldager.
Fair enough. I am gonna go for Matthias Gilmour Jensen, considering his tour of Basque Country where he was not on the podium like he was the year before after that strange edition following that crash. But yeah, I think he could do something here. But anyways, with that, that's basically it for our preview show of Amstel Gold 2025. Make sure to comment down below what you think is going to happen. Do you think Tadej Pogacar is winning yet another one? And of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, because that really helps us. And check out Patrick's own channel, I'll Do Cycling, as well. But I mean, he's basically part of the furniture here, so in your face, Patrick. But with that, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Liège, Bastogne Liège, but we will have, I think, a bonus video at some point as well. So until next time, we will see you around.